Mom discreetly welcomed my sister to my wedding without my knowledge, and my sister decided to deliver a speech centered around a cruel high school story that painted me in a terrible light. My husband, Aaron, who is 27 years old, just like me, had to show her the door, and now my mother, who is 52, insists that he was the one at fault for reacting that way. I'm 27 and have been with Aaron, also 27, for 7 amazing years, and we got married just 4 days ago. Everything about the wedding was beautiful and joyful, except for the chaos that my estranged sister Monica, who is 25, and my mom stirred up. Monica's speech was so offensive that Aaron had no choice but to make her leave, prompting my mother to lose her mind and stand up for Monica as though Monica had been wronged. For clarity, Monica and I had zero communication for almost 4 years due to a Thanksgiving dinner incident at my parents' house. At that dinner, she shamelessly flirted with Aaron all evening, giving him flirty looks and making suggestive remarks. At first, I tried to ignore it because I really didn't want to mess up my parents' holiday celebration, but once dinner was over and we were all relaxing, Aaron approached me, looking uneasy. He confessed that Monica was hitting on him in a way that made him feel pretty awkward. I couldn't restrain my anger and confronted her in the living room, in front of everyone. Things escalated quickly. She claimed that if Aaron had an issue with her flirting, he would have told her himself, but Aaron is a naturally reserved person who hates direct conflict, so of course, he came to me for help. Monica then let loose this awful comment about how Aaron deserved better than me, which is why she felt compelled to openly pursue him. She essentially argued that Aaron had a right to know someone better than me existed. My father stepped in, put an end to it, and Monica stormed out. We never interacted after that day, which was a huge relief because Monica and I had already been on bad terms for as long as I can remember. She was always extremely competitive, always trying to show she was better at everything. She was unquestionably my mother's favorite, and from what I could tell, she wanted to be my dad's favorite, too. Our relationship deteriorated so badly that by the time we left college, we were practically strangers. We'd only see each other at holiday events, and even then, we steered clear of each other. After that Thanksgiving nightmare, I decided to never show up at any family gathering if I knew Monica would be there. Fortunately, my dad respected this boundary, and we worked out a system where he'd let me know if she was attending. If she was, I stayed away. If not, I'd gladly be there. It was a perfect arrangement for me. But my mom never really accepted it. She was convinced that Monica and I should magically fix our relationship, even though Aaron was also uncomfortable around Monica. Given this background, it's no shock my mom invited Monica to my wedding without discussing it with me first. So when I saw Monica in the crowd, I was genuinely stunned. Right after the ceremony, I confronted my mom, who revealed that Monica herself suggested the idea, obviously after hearing about my upcoming marriage. My mom thought it would be a heartfelt opportunity for us to mend fences as siblings. I told her it was a disaster waiting to happen and wanted Monica gone as soon as possible. My mother insisted nothing bad would happen, which turned out to be wildly off base. While we were in the middle of this conversation, Monica seized a microphone and started making a speech. The moment I saw her begin, dread washed over me. I was well aware that she wasn't about to compliment me. Her toast started out sounding ordinary, wishing the bride and groom well, then pivoted to dig up this old event from high school, one she could never let go of, where she felt she'd been victimized. Back when I was a senior and Monica was a sophomore, there was this guy named Chris in my grade, and practically everyone had a crush on him. Chris and I had been friends for a long time, but we were never involved romantically. We'd known each other since middle school, though he had moved away for a couple of years. Now, when he returned, Chris had become much more attractive, and his popularity soared. Our simple, platonic friendship sparked jealousy among many people in school, but none of them seemed to hate me as intensely as Monica did. I knew she liked Chris, and the fact that Chris and I were best buddies made her furious. She decided to undermine our friendship by circulating a rumor that Chris and I were secretly dating and that I'd been bragging about it to her at home. That was entirely untrue, but Chris and I saw what she was doing. We refused to let it sabotage our friendship, so we turned it into a prank of our own by pretending to be a couple at school, holding hands in the hallway, shooting each other flirty glances, so Monica would squirm. We'd especially put on this show whenever Monica or her friends passed by us, and we relished the annoyance on Monica's face. Eventually, the entire school caught on and realized the rumors came from my sister trying to hurt me. The plan exploded in her face because people started mocking her for coming up with such wild stories. And as we all know, high schoolers can be extremely harsh. One day, a random kid teased her about being a liar, and Monica confronted me in the cafeteria, eager to stir up more trouble. She tried to make a scene, but Chris stepped in to defend me. He flat out told her she had no business yelling at me, since she was the one who invented the rumor. He called her crazy, insecure, and jealous, Furious, Monica started hurling filthy words at him. Her language was so vile Chris literally had to walk away. I was repulsed, and I also told her to shut up, but she only escalated her cursing until my temper flared. In that heated moment, I yanked her hair and slapped her. Admittedly, that's not a moment I'm proud of. We both got in trouble for it, but she's maintained to this day that I ruined the final years of her high school life, because people remembered that scene. The cool senior guy humiliated her and her own older sister smacked her in front of everyone. I graduated soon after, but Monica was stuck with those classmates for 2 more years, haunted by that cafeteria scandal. Was it tough for her? Sure. But it was all brought on by her own choices. I never saw myself at fault for how she orchestrated the rumor. In her wedding speech, however, she told this twisted version that depicted her as the poor victim. I looked like the antagonist in her storytelling. She also dropped the bombshell that I allegedly wrecked her relationship with our father, claiming he barely talks to her now, but failing to mention what she had done to make him withdraw from her. At that point, Aaron got up from his seat, marched over to her, grabbed the mic away, and started pulling her toward the exit. My mother tried to intervene, but I was so shocked that I froze in place, unable to grasp that this was happening on my wedding day of all days. Near the door, a bit of a tussle broke out. My bridesmaids tried to usher Monica away, but she and my mom resisted. In the end, they both left. I was distraught and retreated to the restroom, crying and overwhelmed. I stayed hidden until Aaron comforted me, promising that people would point fingers at Monica and my mom, not at me. It didn't necessarily soothe my heartbreak, but I realized that Aaron, my father, and everyone else were looking to me to stay strong so this celebration could keep going. I eventually emerged, plastered on a brave smile, and pushed through the rest of the event, hoping the guests could overlook the spectacle. Once the party ended and everyone dispersed, I had a private talk with my dad, who promised to confront my mother and insist she apologize to me. I told him I didn't even need an apology anymore. He seemed to grasp how done I was with the entire situation. A few days slipped by, and my mother reached out again to inform me she believed I should leave my husband, claiming that Aaron was mentally unstable. She'd called me out of the blue, and I initially assumed she might be ready to say sorry. I answered, prepared to tell her how I felt, but I immediately regretted it because, instead of apologizing, she demanded that I divorce Aaron. Her reasoning was that if he could lay hands on Monica, a woman who had nothing to do with him, he wouldn't hesitate to do the same to me. I found it ridiculous to compare me to Monica, especially given that I wasn't the one making people uncomfortable or acting manipulative and then playing the victim. That was entirely Monica's doing, and Aaron took action because he wasn't about to let her disrupt our special day. Even in removing her from the mic, he treated her with a measure of respect. He didn't say anything unforgivable. I pointed out to my mom that she should count her blessings that I didn't slap Monica the way I did back in high school. My mother erupted in yelling, insisting that Aaron and I were both cut from the same violent cloth and needed psychological intervention. She admitted that Monica's speech was misguided and that maybe she shouldn't have invited Monica without telling me first, but she doubled down that my husband and I were in the wrong because we apparently supported physical force. She warned that Monica could sue Aaron for manhandling her but was graciously choosing not to out of the goodness of her heart. My mom is convinced we owe Monica an apology. I am completely unsure if there's any reason to apologize. Truthfully, this entire post is partially to see if my husband is in the wrong for physically dragging my sister from the stage and throwing her out of the reception after such a vicious rant about me. Update 1. A week has gone by since I posted, and most people commented that while my husband was justified in his anger, maybe he used too much force in dealing with Monica. So Aaron and I concluded we would apologize for that part, just the handling part, and nothing else. He's already written a thoughtful letter that he'll give to her directly, and I hope it puts an end to this mess. My mom has been hounding me non-stop, practically begging me to say sorry to Monica for the fiasco at the wedding. Monica, of course, has not apologized, and I have no expectation that she will. She evidently believes she did no wrong. Her apology wouldn't move me anyway. I just need Aaron to do the right thing so we both have a clear conscience. Then if she wants to reciprocate, fine. If not, that's also fine because I have zero desire to get entangled in her theatrics anymore. I know who she truly is, and that's enough for me. After we're finished with this apology process, I plan to block my mother because she's chronically incapable of understanding me or seeing my perspective. From the day Monica entered this world, my mother has always favored her, though I never expected her bias could reach a level where basic distinctions between right and wrong would vanish. Almost anyone with common sense could tell Monica had no good intentions regarding me, so inviting her to something as sacred as a wedding was a catastrophic idea. My mother actually sabotaged one of the most important days for me, yet she's more concerned about whether Aaron and I say sorry than about Monica's vicious behavior. Nothing about that surprises me anymore, because my mom always acts like Monica is a perfect angel incapable of bad behavior, while I am the one who apparently needs to bend and sacrifice every single time. She expects me to forgive Monica's actions even when Monica herself has shown no remorse. I try to keep a decent relationship with my mother largely for my dad's sake, but now even he recognizes how exhausted I am. After sending the apology, I plan on giving Mom a copy just to prove it's done, so she won't suspect I'm lying. Then I'm cutting her out of my life. Update 2. So Aaron and I did indeed email an apology to Monica, thinking that would be the conclusion of our troubles. But once again, I underestimated how much Monica despises me, as she decided to screen capture the letter and plaster it all over her social media. She bragged about forcing us to beg for her forgiveness, even though she had crashed our wedding uninvited and delivered a mortifying, hateful speech. I felt so furious. I wished there was a magical way to unsend an email once it's already in someone's inbox. Since we don't follow one another on social platforms, a cousin tipped me off by sending screenshots of Monica's gloating post. The fact that she was twisting our apology into an opportunity to mock us made my blood boil. Instead of confronting her immediately, I phoned my mother, since I hadn't blocked her yet, to find out her take on Monica's behavior. She had a convenient explanation ready, claiming she was working on persuading Monica to remove the post. She tried to downplay everything, calling it petty and assuring me most people probably didn't read it. Meanwhile, I was being flooded with messages from relatives and old classmates, so obviously people did notice. I gave my mom a strict ultimatum. She had 30 minutes to talk Monica into deleting that post, or I'd handle matters myself in a more public way. I let her know I had far more damaging dirt on Monica than she realized, including some bombshell stories that never even made it into my original post. If I exposed all of that on social media, people's perception of Monica would be irreversibly damaged. I really hoped I wouldn't have to start such a war, but I wasn't afraid to do it if I had to. My mother vowed she'd get Monica to comply, but more than an hour went by with no change. That was it. Aaron and I felt we had no choice left but to openly reveal Monica's darker secrets. We talked about how she flirted with Aaron back at Thanksgiving, we revisited the Chris ordeal, and, on top of that, we spilled the beans about her affair with her best friend's husband from a couple of years prior, something I hadn't mentioned earlier because it wasn't relevant at the time, but now I was ready to go all out. That fiasco was kept under wraps by both Monica and the guy, and hardly anyone knew about it. Naturally, the best friend was too humiliated to go public with it. But through certain mutual acquaintances, I learned everything. Out of respect for her former best friend, I'd stayed quiet until now, but that courtesy expired the instant Monica posted that screenshot. So, I went online and made a statement, backing every word with truth. I exposed Monica's cheating scandal and reminded everyone of how she tried to seduce my husband. I didn't fabricate or exaggerate. The reaction was immediate. Likes, shares, comments poured in, because Monica was relatively popular in high school and college, and people were both scandalized and weirdly fascinated by her hypocrisy. They always knew she could be mean-spirited, but this confirmed she had been that way for a very long time and had only grown worse, encouraged by my mother's favoritism. After releasing that post, Aaron and I felt surprisingly relieved, like we'd finally given Monica what she deserved. I didn't want to engage in endless phone calls with concerned relatives or friends, so Aaron and I turned off our phones for a couple of hours. We took a relaxing walk, came back home, then started packing for our honeymoon scheduled in a few days. By the time we turned our devices back on at around midnight, we both had a deluge of notifications. Naturally, my mother's messages were there, scolding me for going too far. She said Monica had deep regrets about that affair and was devastated and crying non-stop, like I should feel sorry. I certainly didn't, not after all the hurt she inflicted on me. I ignored my mother's messages and checked the comments on my post, which overwhelmingly condemned Monica's actions. It felt validating to see other people stand up for me even though the whole thing was messy. By then, nearly everyone in my extended family and old classmates had witnessed the expose, and they had plenty to say about Monica's immoral behavior. I didn't feel guilty in the slightest because she had provoked me from day one, and I had let her walk all over me far too often. This time, she earned the consequences. I decided to keep my post up indefinitely. Even if she's in tears, I'm not backing down or erasing it. Update 3. 2 weeks have passed since I published that scathing post, and I only took it down yesterday because I felt it had served its purpose. I blocked both Monica and my mother several days ago because I don't want them accessing my life in any form. They've demonstrated repeatedly that they aren't worthy of my time or attention, not even an ounce. My dad, however, is completely on my side. He thinks I did the right thing, even if it meant the ex-best friend's story got dragged into the spotlight. I withheld a friend's name, so only the people who already knew the situation from high school can connect the dots. The rest remain in the dark about her identity. Honestly, that ex-friend also treated me pretty badly thanks to Monica, so I'm not brimming with remorse for mentioning it. Meanwhile, Aaron and I finally went on our honeymoon, and I'm feeling so much lighter. Somebody actually DM'd me asking what happened to Chris, and that reminded me to update you all. Chris and I still maintain a friendship. He couldn't make it to the wedding because he was severely ill with a brutal stomach flu, but we're aiming to meet up soon, and I might post a photo of us together just to spite Monica a little. On a separate note, my dad's been confiding in me about my mom's bizarre behavior, wondering if he should attempt marriage counseling or just get a divorce. Honestly, I never thought he'd even consider divorcing my mother after all these years, but he said her attitude has worn him down. She's gone so far as to push him to disinherit me completely, giving everything to Monica, claiming I needed a lesson in loyalty. It infuriated my dad. He's emotionally drained and says he's too old to deal with such drama. He wants peace in his life, and I understand perfectly. I told him I'd support whatever decision he comes to, be it divorcing my mother or trying to repair things through therapy. I love him and I want him happy, with or without her. That said, I strongly believe professional help would benefit both my mother and Monica. They each need to learn empathy, boundaries, and a sense of decency. As of now, though, I'm just relieved to be distancing myself from them so I can focus on my new marriage and the life Aaron and I are building, drama-free, exactly as we want it.